Okay, are we here? Ah, laptop cam, I forgot. Okay, just a minute. Hi. Forgot about that, sorry. The bots have been trained to a bit of a better level. Color separations. So, color separations. Okay, I'm not quite so sure about this actually. I don't really know what I'm doing. What we've got now, I know the key block is done. And I posted on the blog yesterday. Do I need to put a link in here? The Conversations blog I posted yesterday, a series of photographs. I should have prepared, I'm sorry, just a minute. Here we are. Someone's going to beat me to this, I guess, whatever. I posted on the blog yesterday a series of photographs about this. Getting the key block finished and doing the sheets ready for color separations. This process of printing these separations, it's called Kyogo Zuri. Zuri is printing, Kyogo Zuri. These are called Kyogo, the sheets that will be used to transfer the image from the color block onto new pieces of wood ready to carve color blocks. And our, what can I say? These Patreon chibis are all pretty much a decided format and a decided size and a decided number of colors. We use 3 pieces of wood to make them. One has the key block carved on one side, so it leaves me 5 faces free for carving colors. It doesn't mean there'll be 5 colors in the print, it'll mean whatever, there's 5 faces free for carving colors. The actual number of colors in the finished print will depend on how much overlapping there are. You know, if there's a blue and a yellow that overlap, we're going to get a green, stuff like that. But also, because there's 2 prints on one block, there's a bit of separation top and bottom. It's possible for us to use one color at the top here and another color at the bottom, you know, and put that on one block. So the pair themselves won't just have 5 colors. Although, having said that, it's very much in our interest to combine. If we've got a gray here and a gray here, of course they print together as one. Cut them up and send them out separately. So it's in my interest to minimize the number of printings, because we've got to pay for each one of those printing impressions. And costs are costs. So it's in my interest to keep them down. But on the other hand, we want to make the print as interesting as possible. Now what I got from John, drink some water, Dave. I had a cup of coffee a few minutes ago. It's overall just a bit tired, and you all know why. So I'm okay, but we're all running on. It's cherry season. We're just running on empty, you know. So okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, what I got from John. I didn't get a finished run up for the print from John. He knows he's a good print designer, but he doesn't know all the nuances about how we want to handle this at the production end. He knows we can do that sort of thing. So he gives me the lines, the line work. That's all I really asked him to give us. But he also did think about himself, how many colors it would be and how the breakdown would work. So he's given me a run up here with dummy colors. I'll post it up here. And this is not what the print's going to look like. These are dummy colors. If I can find it here, excuse me a second. Here we go. As I said, these are not the colors we're going to use to make this print. He's just dummied it up to try and figure out what places might overlap in other places and what we might do, how we might put it together. So as you see here, there's a blue and a purple, there's 2 levels of pale brown. I think is that it. So he's maybe trying to do this with just 4 color blocks. Tried to show how things would go together. Now we've got 5, not 4, and as I said, we can use top and bottom as well as just independent colors. So what I've got to do now in the next few minutes, I've got the 5 blank sheets that are going to form the 5 Kyogo, and I now have to decide and make up in my mind a real color separation for how this would go. I did some chatting yesterday with some of our staff, just looked at it, scribbled in here and there how we might do this. I'm now going to try and put this little puzzle together. So the key block goes aside. And let's have a look at this. I'll shrink that thing down. It's not really much use or interest to us here. Yeah, John's mock-up, I said John did it with 4. He did it with black plus 4 color blocks. As I said, we're stretching it. We get one more because I've allowed myself 6. It's 3 pieces of wood with 6 faces. So I've got one more than what John speculated there. Plus, as I said, I'm going to use top and bottom in some cases a little bit different. So anyway, here we go. Let's have a look at this. I'm not so comfortable with doing this stuff, with thinking out loud on a stream, you know, whatever. Anyway, let's do this. Okay, we got a bunch of bamboo, and it's all going to get a base tone. That's going to be useful or not. We go through this every time. It's so seldom that I do this job that the markers dry out between sessions. For those of you who haven't seen this before, understand too that what we're doing here, this is not, I'm not painting with the color that is going to appear on the finished print. This yellow-green is not what we're going to use. I'm not going to mix yellow-green pigment. What we're simply doing here is I'm showing zones for color blocks. What actual color of pigment is going to be used on the block later is yet to be decided. That's all the area of bamboo, I think. The cross here, the top, the strings are also made from bamboo. And then it goes across the ladle. That's the base tone. Now where are we going to pick that up in the bottom? At the bottom we got 3 different objects made of wood. We've got the desk, the wood block on top of it, the hammer, the persuader, and the wood chips. So clearly we should use this same base tone for a bunch of this. All of it or not, I don't know. I think I'm going to do that. I'll put the same base tone. We'll keep a generic woody type color. Some of it will be just by itself. Some of it will have other colors overlaid. But let's do that. Wood is wood. The handle of the chisel, does that get base wood tone? I think so. Not the metal ring. So both the table and the block and the chips . And that tone will come over these shadows as well. Okay. switching to another area then. We're going to start with the ones that are really decided, the ones that have no flexibility, that I just have no choice, I have to follow. So another one that's really clearly decided is going to be blue here. There's water blue. And part of the blue is decided in the key block, and part of it I've got to draw on here. I've got a blow up of this. I should have printed it out for reference, but I didn't think that far ahead. So. What has he done? He's drawn the water, something like this. Where does it go? As it meets that point. Crosses this line. And there's water pouring here. I'm not sure what to do about this. He's put the blue at the bottom of that bamboo thing. I don't like that. I think he's trying to do it as a shadow, I think, a reflection up on the water, but I don't think it makes any sense. Okay, there's our blue. Now, how can we reuse that blue on the other block? Down on the other block, we're going to reuse the blue, obviously in the flask, to give the water. And he's got some, I don't know what they're called, reflections, cutouts, I don't know what word to use. So let's go around here. And the window's name. Then I think too, he's put it on the shirt, so we've got blue here, blue here, blue here. We can pick it up on the shirt as well, like he suggested. Let's do this. Let's do a shadow line here. Put some rim light. And then on the steel. I don't know about that one. I think I'll keep it off there. Okay, now we may come back to this, but for the moment, let's leave it there. The wall and stuff, I don't know. Let's leave it there for the moment. Now, another one that's pretty much defined already is the grey. Now, he hasn't done a grey. But this is the trough that the water is in. He's put it as purple, and there's no way, I think. We need a grey tone. It's a stone trough. I'm sorry, I'm not watching the chat here. Excuse me, I know. Well, it's okay. Not much conversation going on today. Sorry. Okay. Nothing going wrong now. Right. I'll leave you alone. Now, the grey. I know greys are really, really useful. The grey on this stone trough will also... Where is it? Will also give shadow tones. So let's start with the trough itself. And where else can we use that? We're going to do it like this. If we put that grey, something like this, for example, on the dipper, we got the handle of this dipper. It's got a top surface, then there's an edge, which can easily be a darker tone. So we put the grey on the edge of that and around the rim. And then it's going to help us differentiate between these two tones of wood. But I think before I do that, I can do this face as well here. Then his shirt has that shadow at the left. John wants this thing to go into a darker area at the left, so we'll use the grey for that. There's shadows outside the window, or window frames, whatever they're supposed to be, some extra depth to this stuff. Okay, we'll come back to that one as well. That's absolutely not finished. Let's move on. We need a second tone for the wood surfaces. We've got the bamboo up there. We've got the desk and stuff. We need a second tone. So on the bamboo, we need a darker tone. He's given it to us along the bottom here like this, something like this. inside there. On the vertical one comes underneath and down, straight down here. I think this needs more of a curve. Right. And then along the length of this one. Not too straight. And curve up at the end. And then I think all of that part on. Let's put that in. Let's go inside. He didn't put it in there, but I think it belongs in there. Let's go there. Okay, now how are we going to use this second tone on the wood? We have to decide the bench and the block, which is going to be darker. He's put the bench darker than the block. No. I guess so, it's wider. My own bench, it's darker here than the wood. Okay, let's do that. Let's make the bench the darker one. And that way we can also use it for highlight on the other one. So the wood chips, what he's done, what's he done on those? 1, 2, 3, nay. I don't know. We need the hammer as well. What's going on? Hammer face. I think we can make the hammer darker to the whole thing. And what to do about the wood chips? He's given us a straight stripe on them. They've got a curve built in this way, nay. This way, chalk sheet. right, I guess. Okay, let's do that. Let's make the wood chips a bit more split up instead of just a straight curve. Okay, what's next? Again, none of these are finished. We're just putting in the parts that are obvious at first and that we need to cover. We'll now try to, after we do this last one, we'll try and nuance it a bit more. We need a background here. Now on the outdoor scene here, this is pretty easy. And I think what we'll do is we'll just do a single block that covers. This I think is supposed to be greenery. Let's see. Okay, on that print, that's easy. It's a single block for the background, and it could go either way. We could maybe say print it in light blue and it looks like sky, or I think probably what we'll end up doing, my guess is we'll do a light green. It just looks like a generic kind of generic background, some kind of greenery, bushy greenery, whatever. And I think these curves are just supposed to represent bushes and something anyway. So we'll do that. And now we've also got to figure out the background on this one, the walls, and this thing is, the nearest point is here, and here. So we've got about 2 fingers space here. So when we're printing this block, it might end up that we get a brush and we rub the brush over the whole thing. If it's going to be a light green, maybe that'll be light green walls here, who knows. But they're far enough apart that we've got the flexibility to put a brush at the top and a different brush at the bottom and keep them different. What's more difficult to figure out here now is we've got John put the left wall and the right wall in different tones. One wall, but I think he got it sort of backwards. The wall where the light is should have been darker, and the wall opposing the light would have been lighter. So I think what we're going to do here is we'll first do one block that covers the whole background area. This is background right behind his hand here. I think this is background, yeah. And what's this? Yes, same thing, background. So that'll give us a bunch of possibilities. It'll allow us to print that thing completely flat, just a generic background to this thing. It's walls. We can print whatever color we want. And we will almost certainly end up using different colors because we don't want these 2 prints to look too much the same. This is one problem, right? The Patreons are going to get these prints one by one. One of these is going to be this one's going to be the summer print, I think. This one, the first one that goes out. And this one will be, no. Wait a minute, no. Probably this one will be the first one that goes out through May, June, July, August, September, and then switching to the winter, October, November, December. This is the one that's going to be going out. But we don't want it to be totally the same color scheme. It'll look like they're getting the same print twice. So I'd like to mix it up a little bit. So we'll probably end up using a different color for the background. But now, with the 5 blocks basically laid out. Now, how do we nuance this? And how do we start mixing them? How do we use some of one block to dribble it over into another block to make it more interesting? And a key way to do that is going to be this gray block. Okay? This gray block, we've got a free light gray now we can use in many places on this print here. So for example, that left and right background, if I tint one side of that with a light gray, I'm totally ignoring what's going on here, you know. Sorry guys, I missed most of this. What's going on here? I don't know. Somebody's talking about the color in the flask. You know, John put the back wall as being blue, and then he also put the flask as being blue. And I don't think, there's a couple of ways to look at that. The flask blue could be representing this show through of the wall, or it could be just representing water. So I'm thinking I can not too much worry about that. If the back wall turns out to be something different, green, whatever, just make something up, I think I can still keep the flask as blue, because I think it's supposed to be representing water more than just a reflection of the back wall. I think I can get away with that because it's an ambiguous kind of thing, you know. Of course, the flask, my flask in front of me here, it shows brown right now because I got a piece of brown cardboard behind it. But I think we can use a generic blue to show that it's water. I'm not using this gray enough. Absolutely, we can get more use out of this gray. Suppose we do this. I don't know. On the wood chips, what I did, the wood chips have a base, the base generic woody tone. They've also got on top of them, I just roughly did it, say about halfway along, they're picking up Can you hear it? Is the microphone picking it up? They've gone quiet again. Probably because they can tell when you're listening, I guess. You know. So of course, if I'm just chatting and doing things, they know I'm not paying attention to them. But as soon as I stop and start listening, they go quiet. Tomorrow may be their day, you know. Tomorrow is our construction on the front of this building, where we work on the rat hole access tomorrow morning. So tomorrow afternoon. Anyway, sort of get sidetracked here. There they go again. I have no idea how many are up there. No idea, but I tell you, they got to be fairly heavy, because as they're walking back in 8:36. Oh, I know, it's Cameron. He's been off for 3 days, and there is an absolute crap ton load of work on his computer waiting to be done. Why am I whispering? Don't bother the rats. It is Cameron tonight. Good morning. I forget your name again. Is it on these Mondays after the weekend? So. Have you been following along on this register, the square and stuff, or no?
It's been unbelievable. Just wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We're now within a fraction of last year's total for April. And it's
the 9th?
It's the 9th. It's the 9th. So. Anyway, don't be sidetracked. If you want to say, I'm kind of ignoring the stream. Actually, we just had a rat episode. I was sitting here drawing and...
Oh, no.
So I tried to be quiet so they could hear it. I'm not sure if they're able to hear it or not. As soon as I sit quietly, they go quiet. I think, no, really. I think, animals can sense or when they know...
Yeah. It's safe. He's loud.
Yeah, so exactly. I'm doing something else there. They know it's safe. So exactly.
Man.
But tomorrow may be their day, We're going to do that construction tomorrow. So we're dirtier clothes tomorrow or whatever. So
will do.
If you want to grab this, fine, because I'm ignoring them. So
okay. Color separation.
Color separation. So, and then if I get time, I'm actually going to get some chisel to work, but I don't know what time it is. So
only 8:37.
So what I was saying, if it needs to be popped in and out, the image that's there, this is John's mock-up. Okay. It's under here. It's at the very top. It's called...
Picture and should be 2018.
Yeah. So that will pop out if you need to pop it out or whatever. Okay. So John didn't give us a full color separation last time. We had so much back and forth last time where I said, no, let's try this way. He eventually gave him and said, okay, whatever. Do it. You do it. So he's just giving me a rough breakdown.
Got it.
But this purple thing doesn't make it. So I'm trying to make now the real breakdown. And a bit different because I've got one more block. He proposed key block plus 4 color blocks. And I have 1. I have 5 because we have a key block plus 6. So. And I'm almost there, but we're just I keep getting sidetracked by different things here. So. So you can have a look back. There might have been questions and stuff. I have no idea because I've been ignoring it. So.
The ceiling tenants are rowdy. They could hear them, I guess. Good morning, everyone. Hi. I used to have pet rats. They absolutely do wait until you're quiet. Deathdraw asks, is it possible to print 2 colors in the same area so they mix and make a 3rd color? Absolutely. That's what we do. The print party blocks are a great example of that. If you can make it out here and do one of those, but that's an important part of Japanese woodblock printmaking is the transparent. Is it transparent?
Everything's transparent.
Pigments, so they can overlap, mix, make new colors. Yeah. What is my favorite print? Oh, hi. Wow. So many beautiful ones. So, do you and Dave have the same shirt on? Not quite, but we do have
What's yours?
striped blue
close
and then
enough,
thin black and thin white.
I know.
Oh, that's funny.
It is funny. In fact, it goes deeper funny. I know. We're obviously sort of similar characters, you know. We're a different generation and whatever,
Yeah.
but you know, we're the same sort of quiet guy, well-mannered, careful, you know, reasonably intelligent. We're sort of similar backgrounds, you know, the white dudes, whatever. No
Yeah.
argument about that. And as you and I talked the other day, you're falling into the same bad habits that I've been falling into here. You know, this is actually quite a big deal. You know, not to expose too many secrets here, but I have a real messy desk, and I haven't controlled my work habits well. And Cameron, who was hired here to sort of fix this and keep
Is
me
now
straight,
copying it.
is copying me, and he's falling into my same bad habits. And
Yeah.
I think we can talk about this publicly without being too embarrassing. Whatever, it's nothing. It's nothing. You know,
Nope. Yeah.
I'm not insulting you. Just
Yeah. I'm
we have to grab this and shake it. So
Yep.
that's it. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
a different shot. What do we
different
do?
shirt.
So-
Okay.
so-
The big question: do I have socks on? I do indeed. Does Dave?
No.
no socks today.
That came up yesterday. We were on Saturday morning. We were doing sizing, and I
Yeah.
pulled the camera back to show Shiba-san's ninja crouch.
Right.
And the first comment is, "My God, she's got socks on."
She's
You know,
got socks
so,
on.
whatever. So, not learning well from David or whatever. I don't know. So,
This is a corporate mandate. These uniforms.
so. What's that Japanese deal? They do cool business or whatever in
Yeah.
summer. No
Cool
neckties. No
business.
shit. So, cool. It's already quiet here. I'm just looking at these things, trying to think how I can balance these colors. You know, the biggest question mark in my mind is these two background, the left and right back walls. Should they be different or not? I don't know.
Someone's got a question. I don't know if this is helpful or distracting, but could you mix orange with purple and make a brownish color on walls or other places? Or
For us, brown, what we mostly do when we need browns is we don't do it by. Let me step back a bit. The print in the print party room, green comes up in the finished print,
Right.
but there's no green in the bowls.
Right.
What we've got is there's a block that prints a yellow zone and a block that prints a blue zone, and in some places they overlap, so we get the effect of green in the finished print, but there's no green pigment on the bench.
Right.
Now, there's another way to do it in that we can take yellow and blue pigments in advance and mix them and make a bowl of green pigment,
Right.
and have a color block that is carved to print green, so we swash green pigment on it prints green.
Yeah.
So there's two different ways to get these multiple, the blended colors, there's two different ways to do them.
Right.
Mixing them in advance or mixing them
On the
at the
paper.
moment of printing. For a brown, because it's literally everything in the house. You need yellow, you need red. No, that's the way we make brown. We need yellow, red, blue, and a bit of black thrown in. It's difficult to get a good consistent brown of a nice color by doing it by overlaying too many. It just ends up as mud if we overlay too much. So in the deeper blended colors, we nearly always mix them in a bowl, and then a combination. The brown, maybe a piece of block that's carved to print just that brown, or it could be both. That brown mix is going to go on top of something else that we already have on the wood. So it really starts to get complicated.
Yeah.
But in general, we do light overlays to get, a pink and a yellow will overlay to make a nice peach color or something like this, or the light green you saw on the print party block.
Yeah.
But deep, rich colors come from both. They're mixed in bowls and overlaid on the blocks.
Noticed lots of different browns on the block Sugasan was printing last week. The rickshaw cart, with the background layers. It's different. I guess
Yeah,
browns
that's
on
not
the
so bad. That's pretty light and clean.
Okay.
And ukiyo-e is really light and clean. It's where you start to move into the more shinhaga territory that you get these super
Heavier
overlays.
colours. Okay.
So hers is actually coming together on the block.
Okay, so that's good. Good.
On this one too, this stuff is very light-hearted printmaking. We don't want psychologically deep stuff here. It's absolutely got to be clean. This is also too why we keep the number of blocks light. This would make no sense to make 12 color blocks for a print this small and this print this light. The shinhaga stuff, the sky's the limit, but this one has to be clean. We'll have a max of 3 overlays. We've got the woody base tone, a wooden darker tone, and then parts of that are going to be tinted with gray. So that's about as far as we'll go on
Add
this one.
shadows.
Yeah, shadows and stuff. So exactly.
He says, awesome answer, thanks. So, glad to help.
I made some notes. Yes, I can't read my writing. It's whatever.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to take a flyer. What I'm going to try is this. He's given us a two-tone wall at the background. And I think the way he sort of roughly posed it there, he's got the darker tone on the left and the lighter tone on the right. And I think in a room like that, it would be the other way around.
Okay.
The wall with the windows in.
Yeah.
I mean, even the way our brains work, the lights are there. So this would bright light, the surrounding wall would be darker, and the light is shining onto the left side wall.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and experiment here. We may cut this off after we do test printing, but I'm going to put on the gray block, which is gray, it's a silvery gray,
Yeah.
not a dark, gloomy gray, it's a silvery gray. I'm going to put that in as a sort of an overlay tone, a shadow tone on the wall around the window. Fully expecting that it might possibly end up being a not so attractive thing, in which case we just get out our chisels and chop it off.
Chop it off. Yeah.
You can go back. I mean, whatever. Some things you can take. You can't add wood once we're done, but we can take wood away. So,
Yeah.
so I'm going to try that as an experiment.
So will that light gray, that'll darken it. Even though it's not too much more
It'll
darkening,
tint it,
but,
so
okay.
it'll darken it only in the sense that there's more pigments on the paper,
Okay.
so it's not going to be dark, because we're going to use a silver gray,
Right,
really light gray with silver. So I wouldn't even say darken, just simply make it a two.
Differentiate.
Make it, different, make it a two-tone.
Okay. Neat.
The other part about this thing is to look for forgotten spots and mistakes, because that's really common. For example, where's the wood-based tone? Have I really got all of the areas? Because it's really easy to skip something and to miss something.
Do you need the color version to reference?
No, it's okay. I just know. In fact, I don't want to reference. Actually,
Okay.
what I need to do is simply go over very carefully every millimeter of
Got
this
it,
thing.
got it.
And in some prints, not so much this one, but what you can do is, after you've finished these color separations, and you can actually do this. You can stack them up like this. Hold it up to a really bright light and look for places that don't have any of this yellow marker.
Ah.
And that's areas that are going to be bright white in the finished print, because they're not getting covered by any color blocks. Now in this case, it's okay. There's going to be, the skin tone actually here is going to be the paper tone. I didn't do anything. None of these color blocks, unlike John's, none of these color blocks at the moment here have any skin. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to make it the same color as the wood? I don't think so.
Okay.
So this is going to different. I could put gray on part of it. I don't know. I could try that, I guess, and maybe cut it off later. That gray, silver gray tone we're talking about is a shadow. It's a shadow on the shirt. Should I put it down here at the bottom of the skin? I could maybe try that.
Yeah. It is on his design.
But given that the skin is going to be white, I think that would end up just looking dirty. But I think we could try that.
Try that and chop it off later.
If I do this, if I say that too much, it's going to be doesn't Dave know what he's doing, But I can remember too. In defense of myself, I am not an artist, and if John had really gone all the way with this, he would have given me bang.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the artist's job actually. In the traditional way, we get these sheets, we print these 5 or 6 blank sheets.
Yeah.
Here you go, John. Over to you. Do the color separations. We saw that Hasui movie. Remember, we broadcast here on the Twitch.
Yeah.
Those sheets went back to Hasui. Oh, hi, guy. Over to you.
Yep.
Do me the color separations. But it needs an artist, designer who is really familiar with the woodblock process.
Yeah.
Who has spent many hours, many days, many months sitting next to a printer working out how colors work.
Got it.
And the reason John didn't do it for this one is because he's not that familiar with our process. So.
Yeah.
Although he's no beginner at this. So it comes back to me as the guy with the most experience at doing this, but unfortunately,
most
the
familiar.
least artistic ability, but the most printmaking experience. So my lack of artistic ability is being made up for by my experience at how this works out. You know. So I shouldn't say too many times. We can cut it off if it doesn't work. I mean, that's really not the goal here. So.
Right. Now, as you're focusing on this, would it be better if I don't pass any questions over for a few
Sure,
minutes?
go ahead. No
All
problem.
right.
We're actually almost out of time now.
No, it's not even 9 yet.
Okay,
so
good. Okay.
just wasn't sure how much you want to.
Sure, fire it over.
Well, let me see what we've got here. Well, I don't even know if this is one we know anything about, but any other interesting stories from the Japanese sword making world that you've heard of?
Sword making.
Because we talked about that last week. When,
Swords?
When we had the visitor.
Ted Tenold was
Yes.
the sword polishing guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you were mentioning how sword making, or the world there is so exclusive and hard to work within, and you're glad that woodblock printmaking isn't, or any other things to add about
but
that?
I know nothing about
Okay.
that kind of world. All I know is that ours isn't like
Got
that,
it.
you know. So, I mean, Ted himself, we were chatting about this when he was here. He was saying, God damn, I got to work with all these guys. Round.
Yeah.
So, no, I have no real insights in this. Only
okay.
in that the deeper the tradition and all that stuff
Yeah.
goes, the more difficult it is to work as a modern person in the
Right.
tradition, you know. And an example that came up when he and I were chatting was that Dave here, in one sense, I'm a solo, think of it as a musician. I'm a solo artist.
Right.
I make my own CDs. I have my own concerts. You know,
Yeah.
I program what I want to do, make up my own blah, blah, blah. I work with songwriters
Yeah.
to do the songs, and we edit them and publish them. But in his world, he's like a guy in an orchestra. And the orchestra member in the middle doesn't get to choose what they're going to play. He's got to work with all these other guys.
Yeah.
And he's, oh my God, I got to sit next to that guy and do this again. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it really, really gets sticky and complicated and not
Got
so
it.
free.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting analogy to it that he mentioned. You know.
Yeah.
I'm a free solo artist. He's in the middle of a
Of an orchestra where not everyone gets along.
whatever.
Is what it sounds like.
Exactly. So.
Interesting.
My God, no! If the woodblock printmaking world had been any one of these, did we talk about the word iemoto? I know.
No.
Do you know the word iemoto? I know. I think the example usually uses ikebana. If you're going to want to do a flower arranging, you
Right.
pick your sensei, ie. You pick the house.
Yeah.
And he is the iemoto. He is the base of that house,
Right.
that tradition. And over there's other people doing it. That's a different iemoto, a different
Yeah.
house, different. I don't know.
Different tradition, different.
Yeah, within the larger tradition, it's a
Right.
different school. But you make
different
schools.
school,
So
that's
you go
the
to
better
one
term for it,
school
yeah.
of this or one school of that. So. And you don't deviate from it's like almost you join one Buddhist cult or another Buddhist cult. You know, I mean, you don't, you hew to the party line or you're dead, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever, so. And most Japanese traditional arts, especially including the one you mentioned,
Yeah.
swords, they really, really have their own culture, their own tradition, and you do it our way and not the way that the guys down the street do it, you know. So. And woodblock printmaking, traditional woodblock printmaking, has nothing to do with that
Yeah.
because it was just business.
Yeah.
It wasn't artistic.
Interesting.
And I've said it many times, if woodblock printmaking had been like that, I wouldn't have lasted 1 week. I'd have been out of here. Because I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit there at the feet of the guru and say, oh guru,
Yeah.
tell me when I'm good enough, tell me what to do. You know, I
Right.
would have been out of there screaming. You know.
Yeah. Get me out of it.
So it's also the other way around. When people visit us here, John, you know, the designer of this, he was here last year. I refused to do the guru thing the other way around. Okay, here's what you are going to do. You do it our way. We don't do it that. You know.
Right.
I don't drink the Kool-Aid. And I don't serve the Kool-Aid.
You don't serve the Kool-Aid either. Okay. Oh, good. It stuttered briefly, but it stopped. It didn't go down, so glad to hear that. But he said, proper printing question this time. Do you ever print using white pigments?
Man, another half an hour answer for these things. What's going on here? This is so... okay. That's funny. It's exactly funny, the timing of that.
Yeah.
That I had said there are no schools of this. There's no brand X school and brand Y school and whatever. But there are different
Kyoto,
ways.
right?
Yes, exactly. There are different ways to do this. I think somebody there who knew this, he stuck that in there for me to make it helpful. The Tokyo school, the way it worked generally in Edo time in Tokyo, we used nearly 100% transparent pigments, blow the work out quickly. It was the printing business. It was the porn business. It was just the commercial printing business.
Yeah.
Over in Kyoto, different traditions took hold. Those guys are more artistic. And there was a closer tie to the original artwork that were being reproduced and stuff like that. So a lot of the Kyoto work was done as reproductions of paintings. As in identical reproductions. We're going to reproduce this so that you can't tell the difference.
We have a few of these in the shop, don't we? Or have they sold already? I remember we had some flowers from Kyoto that you
that's a
thought were
bit
interesting.
different.
Those are different, even more. Okay.
Yeah, I should have. If I had known the question was coming, I could show an example. The Kyoto guys would do something that is meant as an actual. Because the days before cameras.
Yeah.
Let's make a woodblock print in actual physical reproduction of a painting, so you can't tell it's different.
Right.
And painters do use white pigments, and the Kyoto printmakers use white pigments in two ways. They use it as printing white, and they use it as mixing white in with red to make pink, stuff like this, which we here at this end of the country don't do.
Even to make the slight colors, you just use a more diluted red? Is that what you would do to make a
For
pink?
us, when we need white, we use the paper.
Right.
So to make a pink for us, we use quite a bold red as pigment, but put it on lightly, and the white paper shows through. Okay. So maybe I seem to be contradicting myself. There's different schools. It's not so much the nuanced school that the flower arrangers are doing, with 100 different kinds of schools. It's simply they are reproducing paintings, and we are making prints as original works, not supposed to be specifically reproduced from paintings.
Got it.
So to take an example, Utamaro is a designer. If he's doing work for a work that was done in Edo, he will print the outline, he will draw the outlines, hand it to the workshop, and they do everything else.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was a painting, Utamaro finishes the painting.
Yeah.
And bang, it goes to the Kyoto people for a reproduction as a finished painting. So it's quite a different concept. We're not even really talking about the same thing, except they're all based on actual wood blocks. So it would be a good theme for a David's Choice video at some point down the road. Just add that to the list of 10,000 other topics that are waiting to be done. I keep. What am I doing? Where am I?
Sorry. I think you were making sure there weren't any holes.
What I should do is this. I really want to sit quietly and figure this out and try to know, but I can't do that right now with this going on. So let me do this. Let me take one of these blocks that I think is pretty much really decided. This background block is not going to be something that overlaps on anything else. And let me just call this one done and move ahead to the next stage of putting it on wood and how the carving would start.
Get it started.
And let me save this in reserve, and that I might want to fool around with some of these later on this afternoon.
Cool.
But I can't sit here with 500 people watching and answering questions. So we'll assume for the moment that the whole job is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are finished. And the next step now is to put them on wood and start carving. And I can do that now with this one. Is that okay? Is that a good way to move forward with this?
Sounds great to me.
I'm locking myself into this, but I think, whatever, it's no big deal. So there it is. So I'll just go ahead and do this. You can fire questions or whatever, and this is going to be mostly, I think, self-explanatory.